name is Brian Butts. I'm a guitar teacher and I live in Hayward, California. I'd like to teach you a little bit about the guitar, how to play it, what to look for in a guitar, and to get the basics that you need to start playing guitar. This looks like your basic guitar. It's got 6 strings. It's got the body, the sound hole, the neck, the headstock, the tuning pegs. This is a nylon string guitar. Guitars come in many different types, and in choosing your guitar depends mainly on what kind of style you wish to play. This nylon string is used more for classical guitar. The nylon strings, as opposed to steel strings, makes it easier to play with your fingers and creates a more classical tone. If you're more interested in rock and roll or heavy metal or hard rock, you might want to choose an electric guitar, such as an ESP or a Gibson. Fender, Ibanez all make great electric guitars. Acoustic guitars, Yamaha has great acoustic guitars, beginning guitars, as well as Ovation makes great acoustic guitars, steel string, and a variety of others. Regarding the guitar, the way it's tuned is starting from the top string to the bottom string is E, A, D, G, B, and E. It's tuned in fourths except for the major third between the G and the B string. Knowing that, you can begin to learn how to play guitar. Guitars sound great when playing chordals, harmonies, especially when you're first starting. You know, you don't need to do anything too advanced. Just sound nice. And I can teach you some of these chords that I'm playing. Very simple chords. When we want to learn new chords, chords that are used in a lot of popular songs and sound good to just strum even, it's good to know how to work with your hands and get your hands used to feeling the guitar. It's important to stretch always before you begin playing. It's to alleviate the tension in your muscles and really get your hands moving and warmed up, and so you can feel the guitar better. And you want to play a note on the guitar simply by barring down on the wooden part between the frets. These studs in the fretboard are called frets. And in order to create a sound with the guitar, say I'll take my index finger and place it on what's called the 2nd fret and bar it down in the wood firmly. It should sound something like this. Once you get comfortable with how this feels, you can begin to use other fingers. You can use other frets, and hopefully get comfortable to the point where you can make each sound distinct, precise, and heard, and build more and more comfort with the fretboard, how it feels on your fingers, and how your hand moves on a guitar. Your right hand can be used for a variety of ways. For instance, there's a finger style guitar where each finger is designated a string, and you can arpeggiate chords. Or you can use a pick. Picks come in a variety of different sizes. This is a jazz pick, which is it's a little bit thicker. Jim Dunlop is a very large pick. You can get them for really cheap, 50 cents at your music store, if that even. They come in all different kinds of cool colors. I've seen Simpsons picks, neat designs. Know a lot of friends that have a lot of pick collections. So, giving a thumbs up, you'll take the pick in its upward position, sort of face it out with your last knuckle, and close the thumb on top of it. The motion you give should be a slight up and down picking motion with your wrist. Then being sure to strike each string while still maintaining proper left hand technique. At this point, you want to be more concerned with accuracy and making sure the sound resonates, because when a lot of people first start playing guitar, they'll often not press down right and sort of get this twangy. You want to make sure that your sound is even, it can be heard and defined. Once you get comfortable with these sounds on multiple fingers, on different strings, you can start to make more sounds. And then you can begin to start adding fingers and playing more strings. And sounds like... And that's when also you start to begin going into your open major and minor chords. Your open chords are called open because they use a variety of open strings. Open meaning non-fretted. These include your C major, G major, D major, A major, E major, and F major. All as examples are used very commonly in a lot of rock and pop music, and of course classical and jazz is a triad. If you have any musical experience, you'll know that the C major chord has no sharps or flats, and it consists of the pitches C, E, and G. Now, zooming in on this open C major chord, you will see that if we remember that this is our A string here, we will take our ring finger, place it on the 3rd fret of the A string, getting this sound. We will take our middle finger, place it on the 2nd fret of the D string to get this sound. We will leave the G string open. Remember, open means not fretted. And we will take our first finger, our index finger, place it on the 1st fret of the B string. Now play the A through the top E string, and it should sound something like this. Just get familiar with how it feels on the fretboard, how it feels on your fingers, getting in tune with your muscle memory, and just strum it. Get familiar with the sound. See what you can do with it. If you want to use your fingers, and that is your C major open chord. Next one I'll talk about is the G chord. If we use our musical knowledge, we know that a G major chord consists of the pitches G, B, and D. These pitches on the guitar can be found by placing your middle finger on the 3rd fret of the E string, your index finger on the 2nd fret of the A string, leaving the D string open, the G string open, and the B string all open, and then placing your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the E string. If you play all the strings, it should sound something like this. Now that we have learned 2 chords, we can simply play those 2 chords in a vamp and get your fingers used to moving in between these 2 chords, and begin to acquire more comfort with our fingers, more comfort with the fretboard, more comfort in the way these chords sound together. And so if we just practice these 2 chords to build our dexterity, it's as simple as just 2 chords together. It can still sound very beautiful with one another. A lot of great pieces of music and great songs, jazz, pop, rock, just a matter of a few chords. You know, nothing too fancy. We're just getting started. So just these basic chords, and before you know it, you'll be feeling great about your ability to play the guitar and then learn more. For instance, the D major chord. If we look at our musical, the D major chord consists of the pitches D, F sharp, and A. We acquire this on the guitar by playing an open D string, placing your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the high E string, placing our ring finger on the 3rd fret of the B string, and placing our index finger on the 2nd fret of the G string. Together, the open D string and the strings below it should sound something like this. Now that we know 3 chords, we can even begin to start assembling songs from there. For instance, la 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 bum la 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 bum. The tune La Bamba uses the 3 chords that we just learned just now. The open G, open C, and open D. So as you can begin to see how even just the simplest of guitar chords can get you very far. Just 3 chords where you're already playing pop tunes, and then you're beginning to build familiarity with the sounds that the guitar can make, how these feel on your fingers, beginning to grow dexterity in your fingers, having the muscle memory to remember the chords that we've learned, and becoming familiar with the sound that each of these chords make. Now there's 12 total major chords, 12 total minor chords, 12 sets of diminished chords, augmented chords, and all sorts of things that might, be confusing. So it's important first learning the guitar is to just take the chords that you see a lot in pop music or the songs that you want to learn and start to begin those. And then after a lot of time, you'll begin to gather this wide variety of chord vocabulary, which you'll be able to, after practicing enough, be able to get into your head and be able to find these things rather easily and be able to jump to these chords in no time. And a good way to do that is to begin looking at songs, say, on the internet. A good place to find good chords is just on Google. If you type the song you want to learn, and you'll get about 1 million listings for what's called guitar tablature or guitar charts. And these charts, you'll often see the alphabetical numeral indicating the chord. For instance, if we were to look up La Bamba, it would say G, just a capital G, capital C, and capital D. In order to elaborate on these ideas, I think you may need to understand a little bit more about the musical alphabet. The musical alphabet, for those who don't understand the basic concepts of the musical alphabet, is that the pitch is A, B, C, D, E, F, and G are all the musical alphabet. Just those pitches. And then however they're altered is for another time. But just these ideas, you can have a corresponding chord to each of these sets of pitches on the musical alphabet and have a minor chord correlating to it. For instance, the C major chord that we learned earlier is just one major chord of the musical alphabet C. It can also be a C minor chord. There can also be C diminished chords. There can be C half diminished chords. There can be C augmented chords. And a whole host of other different types of chords. But in order to keep things more simple, as we're just learning the guitar, we'll stick with more of the popular open voicings that are easier to play and can be used to play the songs you want to know a lot easier. So, we left off on G, C, and D. We'll teach you what's called the A minor chord. This is one of the minor voicings, which is different from the major voicings that we've been talking about earlier, due to the minor chords have more of that sad quality to them, more dismal, more bleak. And if we understand music, that's because we use what's called a minor third, as opposed to the major third, which sounds a little bit more happy than the minor third. So then, knowing that, we can use it to create a different texture than the major chords would have, or more contrast with our sounds. This open A minor chord can be played by playing an open A string, taking your ring finger, placing it on the 2nd fret of the D string, creating the pitch E. Take our middle finger, place it on the 2nd fret of the G string, and take our first finger and place it on the 1st fret of the B string. We know that the A minor chord consists of the pitches A, C, and E. It should sound something like this. Now, we know 4 chords: G, C, D, and A minor. So we will just take those chords, and once you become familiar with how each of them feel, start to plug them together. I'm Brian Butts. I've been a guitar teacher for just kind of starting as a guitar teacher, but I've been playing guitar for over 10 years. I'm a music student at California State University. I've studied jazz in Chicago, and I've played in numerous rock, pop bands, metal bands. I've played as a drummer in a drum line. You can hear some of my music at myspace.com/BrianButtsGuitar, all one word. That's BRIAN Butts, BUTTS guitar. And I look forward to helping teach students guitar online. Continue to watch iSchools for further videos.